What's up, everybody? Crypto Picasso here. Little Bitcoin review. This video is for educational purposes and not intended as investment advice. So Bitcoin's pushing all the way back down here. We just about tagged the number 21 fib here. If we're still going to hold on to the possibility of parabolic continuation, this would be the absolute bottom line. I mean, this is as far as you can stretch this trend line here on the 3-day. The higher the time, when you're drawing a trend line, the higher the time frame, the more legitimate the trend will be. And this is about as far as you can stretch this trend, from wick to here. Actually, let me reset Bitcoin wisdom here. I'll show you guys here. We have a little bit of space, like where we could drop down to about maybe 7,000. That's not it, sorry. Right there. Little bit of space where this thing could maybe drop down to about 6,900, 7,000 or so, and still be within this trend, actually still be respecting that trend. So here, we're kind of at the point where if we go any further than that, below 7,000 or so, it just is completely destroying the entire trend. The thing is, this is the way I look at it, is that Bitcoin's very volatile. It goes through these advance waves and then retracement waves, correction waves. This is by far one of the worst correction waves yet, and definitely the scariest for a lot of investors. But it's not too far out of spec for the ebb and the flow of the market, you know, for the market to go up hundreds of percents and then make a 61 or 78.6 retracement back. So we're still within, you know, for you guys that are perma bulls and long-time investors, yeah, we're still within spec of possibly bouncing here and going to 30,000. I mean, there's really no telling at this point. We really have to see how we handle this area. The fact that we're getting even more China news coming and fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market, it really doesn't help at all anything with the sentiment in the market in this zone. The only thing is that if you're a long-term investor and you're scared right now and you're shook and you're saying, well, what do I do with my Bitcoin? Should I stay in Bitcoin? I'm still in profit. You really have to look at a bigger picture. Most of you guys that have been involved with Bitcoin as long as I have, we've been through a lot of these kind of correction waves, but we don't want to hold through like a whole bear cycle like 2014 either. So I don't sell bottoms. I still think that this is a bottom. This is, even though this is a very harsh, strong downtrend that we're in right now, this is still creating a buying opportunity for the whales and for other buyers. This could even be a manipulated fear, uncertainty, and doubt, you know, added extra in the market so that they can get orders filled down here by the line. We don't know. These markets are new. They're pretty unregulated. But what I see technically is that we're pushing right down to the trend. There's still a little bit of hope, a little bit of chance it could turn around here. The 3 days completely oversold. I mean, the 3 days been oversold since Christmas, basically. And at some point, when there's a complete liquidation spike to the downside and everybody just fearfully sells and just says, get me the hell out of this market, there's going to be whales whose orders are going to be filled. And once that happens, the market will get propped back up again. That's what I would be waiting for to get out if I was a long-term investor and I didn't want to continue to hold Bitcoin anymore, if I was starting to get unsure. I'm still going to hold my spot coins and sell on the bounce. I mean, this is the way I look at it, and this is from studying market geometry and market cycles, is that usually when this trend line breaks on the downward wave, then the correction back up leads down. So meaning that if this does break and come down to like 5,000 or something, the rally back up would be a definite sell. Like maybe even here at around 12,000. You know, we might have to lower our exit at that point. But if this line breaks, if this trend line breaks, the rally back up is to me is a definite sell. The trend has already broken. That would be most definitely a bull trap on the way back up. If this trend holds, then there's still that chance that this thing's going to come up here, get supportive above this cloud, and continue on. So there's no telling right now. Basically, this is at a point where if you didn't get out already, you are holding for a better exit, trying to play the volatile swings on margin to make more Bitcoin, and looking for that bottom to finally get put in so we can ride the wave back up. Obviously, I'm stopped out on my 8,100 buys from yesterday. Stopped out with a small amount of a loss, but I caught it here at basically this first time it sold down. I caught this at 8,000 when we caught it. Now, when it came up here to 9,400 and was above 9,000, this was a good time to take profit. I put a stop at 8,800. So once it broke down about right here, this next candle right here, once this broke down right here, I was out. I got stopped out with profit. Now, I'm going to look, and I tried to buy again 8,100 and got stopped back out. Now, I'm going to look again to buy in this zone between 7,000 and our fib line here, our 73.40 or so. What is it? 73.43, about that area. So look at this. So far, this number 21 is the low of the day, 73.43, 73.43.9. If this bounces there and doesn't make another low, then that would be absolutely crazy if it bounced right on the Fibonacci point. But I still think that we could get a little bit more buys down in this area, a little bit more scaring out. But you can see this is we're starting to hit that psychological point. We've just fallen between two Fibonacci levels, meaning that if we're going to still look at the market as a parabolic rise, we have to look at the legitimacy of that. And, you know, just would be like that here when this bounced here, this rallied right through two Fibonacci points, and it had to come down almost and test the one in the middle. Now this rally right here, this just basically rallied, you know, almost touched that one and rallied through 1, 2, 3, 4 Fibonacci points. Now we came through, we couldn't hold it this one, now we're tagging this one. This would be a really, really, really good place for the market to turn around. Right now, I mean, the sentiment in the market, everyone's scared, everyone's shook, everyone's like, fuck, I should have gotten out, maybe I should sell at a loss. I mean, there's a lot of that mentality in the market right now. I try to block all that out. I've been trading for years, and this is a repetitive cycle of emotions. And when the market gets to the point where it starts to affect me emotionally, I walk away. I'll go to the beach, I'll go surfing, I'll tune the market out and try to stick to the technical analysis of the bigger picture and kill all the noise. To me, what's going on right now, the China FUD, the banning of credit cards to purchase Bitcoin, you know, all these things, everybody knows that the governments and the banks are scared of Bitcoin. This is nothing new. The thing is what we're dealing with here with, you know, what we're trading here with Bitcoin, I personally feel, now not to cloud my judgment of trading, like when there's definitely, if the trend breaks down, like if we break down right here, it'll be time to get out. If this thing continues lower and it rises up to a certain point and it keeps getting slammed down, you know, there has to be a bottom line for some people to say, well, I just need to get out of the market until I can find a better time to get in the market. There's a lot of sentiment of fear right now. So I want to look at the bigger picture, and I want to say, well, I'm going to look for a better day to get out. Like, I don't want to sell into the panic. I don't want to sell into the fear. I'm looking for that bounce. Eventually, that 3 day is going to flip. The daily is going to flip. The weekly is going to flip. They're all oversold. All right, we're getting pushed down here to the bottom. Now, one thing to point out, though, as far as larger trend, bigger picture, the possibility of us coming down here, like I said, if we break that trend and then we come up, I'm probably 90% going to get out of Bitcoin because this trend will have been broken and this will be a fake run up. If this trend gets respected and runs back up, I'll kind of trail a stop behind me and try to lock in value. I won't have considered Bitcoin dead or in a full bear season just yet. Okay, if this trend holds. The thing that we got to keep in mind though is look at the 3-day MACD. The 3-day MACD is doing an oscillation down for the first time, like almost ever. Okay, it's a really big downward wave that we're in. A really big exchange of hands of coins. A new ending to some and new beginnings to others. Like this is a really big time for Bitcoin where if we get this oscillation where it starts to come back up, while we are getting this move right here, up, and it fails here, and this oscillation comes up and then starts to grow to the downside again, then we're looking at a long bear season. All right, we're looking for 3,000, 2,500. If this oscillation comes up, and then starts to paint to the upside again, then there's still hope. Then we just had a correction wave like one that we haven't seen before. I mean, Bitcoin's a really new asset class. This is something that, you know, it's been around for quite some time, but we don't have that much chartable history on it. And as exchanges come and go, you know, like if you look at the chart on Coinbase, it only goes so far back. If you look at the chart on Binance, it goes, you know, only a shorter amount of time back. So there's all these new exchanges popping up in this new asset class. So I stick to Bitfinex because it has the most volume, and I always refer back to Bitstamp for previous chart history. And if I want to go back further than that, I'll look at Mt. Gox's charts. The thing is with Bitcoin here is that at some point I really feel like this is going to turn around and give us this run back up. Technically, this run back up, it's going to come at some point, whether it comes down here and bounces off the cloud or bounces here off the trend. Whether it bounces off the cloud or bounces off the trend will add a puzzle piece to my bigger picture to say, okay, this is probably going to break down, or oh, this could still possibly go higher. So at this point today, I'm going to start to scale in little by little in this 7,300, 7,400 zone. And then keep a stop underneath of the low of the day, or it depends. It really depends. I mean, if I scale in now, this is why it's so hard to update on such a fast-moving market. So this is the way I would play it. If you're going to scale in now, put a stop underneath of the 73.43. If you get stopped out, look to buy lower around 7,000, and then, or wait till it puts another big low in, and then buy that next candle, and then put a low stop below that low that it just made. I know it seems crazy to some of you guys that we're just like taking trades, taking profit, taking a trade, getting stopped out, taking another trade. But that's trading, guys. Like a lot of you guys that trade Forex, you guys know sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5 times to enter a trade before it sticks and you actually, you know, get a good seat. This is moving so fast and it's so volatile that if you have a bad seat on the ride, you want to get out right away. If you have a good seat on the ride, you want to protect your profit. You know, like that's why when we caught here at 8,000, I kept my stop at break even for a little while, came back here, still didn't get stopped out. But as it climbs up here, you want to, like I said, I'm going to move my stop up to protect capital. You know, some people do that with trailing stop. Some people will do it with support and resistance. You know, a couple of you guys asked me, why don't I give you my exact price point of my stop? And I've come to the conclusion that that's just not smart for me to do. Because a lot of people view these videos, and if everybody has their orders piled up at the same price point, that's not smart. There's guys that watch these videos and try to take the same trade as me and the analysis as me and see the market the way I do. And there's some of you guys that watch these videos and fucking hate me and will trade against me. So I really have to take that into consideration and kind of give a little bit more of a parameter of a zone and leave risk management up to you guys. You know, if I say trail a stop behind you or put a stop to lock in profit, that should be based on your entry and your desire for profit, okay? So as of right now, unbelievably so, we are bouncing exactly on this Fibonacci point. If we really bounce right here, that would be insane, honestly. If we bounce exactly at this point will probably serve, if we're not done selling down just yet, this point will serve a point of interest, just like this point up here did. All right, at 11.7. How it was just a point of interest. Just about made it, got above it, couldn't handle it, then it broke down below it. So this point here should be a point of interest as well. If it battles here and then it breaks below, then we got to watch that it can't get above it. So I feel like we've reached that next psychological Fibonacci point for the structure that we're in. So the market's getting a little bit tired here. It has to decide. There is a lot of buy orders in the 6,500 through 7,000 range. It almost seems to me, from studying just manipulation of the market and structure of the market, it almost seems to me that when the time is right, when everybody's at their last line of hope, and everybody is completely exhausted, and everybody is worn out psychologically, this thing will dump down one last time. It'll shake everybody that was on the fence out, and then it will get what's called a whipsaw of a candle that just whips this thing right back up, and we start challenging our lines of resistance on the way back up. So on the way back up, this thing is going to be in a downtrend until we break this line, and then after we break that line, we got to break this line, then we got to get above here, and then we got to break this line. All right, so we have 3 layers that we need to work here, even 4 with this Fibonacci point, before I would even say that this thing is close to being bullish again. Right now we're at the point where we seem like we're getting to the end of a correction wave. Even though it's been a deep correction, it's not too far out of spec, and you can see it hasn't really left the trend of the bigger picture. So how we end today really is going to matter. I mean, if this thing's, like I said, if it sells below the line and makes that liquidation spike all the way down to 5,000, then that run back up, I feel like it's just going to be a bull trap, because the trend is broke. The hope, that to me it would be the trend is broke and we're making a false run back up. If we bounce in this area, the run back up may not be false. It may be the 5th wave, actually. When we start to look at what's going on, meaning that usually when you have wave sets riding on a trend, it's even going to go out deeper, like 12 hour. All right, usually when you have wave sets riding on a trend, you hit the trend twice, and then to establish your long-term trend. This could very well be a wave 1, a wave 2, a huge wave 3 that's now retracing about 61 to 78.6% of itself, meaning from here to here, we're in this zone between the 61 and the 786. I mean, this is a big gap. It starts to be a big gap the more we expand in price. But right between this zone and this zone is this trend again. So we could just be doing a corrective wave of this last move. I mean, we really could still just be doing a corrective wave from here to here with a correction, and then we get another rally. So how we handle this line in this zone right here, this is the furthest that you can extend this trend. I mean, this is on a wick right here. It's on a wick right here. If this gives us a 3-day, let's see, Bitcoin Wisdom, 3-day here. We got a 3-day wick right here, a 3-day wick right here. This could possibly give us another 3-day wick right down into here. Okay, like I said, 68.50, 7,000, just about where it cracks 7,000 and everybody gets really shook. And then we reset on the 3-day. So I don't like to sell into an oversold, fearful market. When it comes to trading, I've developed patience. I've developed the ability to look at a negative situation and think about the positive that can come out of it. This, to me, being the fact that we're, on the oversold side of the market here, since Christmas tells me at some point this thing's going to flip up and give a better exit than 7,300 on your Bitcoin. Okay, so whether that exit is 10,000 or whether it's 12,000 or 15,000 or 30,000, we don't know yet. But we have to get through this downtime, and it seems to me, and not just me, but a lot of the traders that I respect in the space as well, seem to think that the selling is coming to the end soon here. And once it does, it's going to flip, it's going to whipsaw, and everybody that sold and panicked is going to wind up chasing the market back up, because that's the classic thing. I mean, when you sell bottoms, you chase tops because you're not psychologically in the right state of mind to trade. These markets, I mean, if you guys have been with me for a while, you guys will realize that the markets are an emotional game. And if you give in to these emotions, you'll become your worst enemy. At the end of the day, you're the one pushing the button to buy. You're the one pushing the button to sell. So when you make those decisions based on an emotional behavior, it's a very irrational decision that you're making most of the time. So if you give into that panic and that fear now, and you sell and you say, shit, let me get I need to get out. I need to just get out of Bitcoin right now, and you get shook. And then you see that whipsaw candle come, the first thing that's going to happen in your mind is you're going to say, oh, damn, I was wrong. I knew I should have held. And then you'll wait and you'll say, okay, well, let me just wait till it gets a little bit more safe, until it gets safe. And then once it gets safe, people start chasing it back up. And then if it falls down again, you might get shook again. So this is a very big psychological game of getting the right entry. If you don't, pull the plug. If you can't get out, hold through the downtime, hold through the psychological torture, wait for a better day, and when the momentum picks back up in the market and the sentiment shifts in the market, then you have the leverage to decide and say, okay, am I gonna ride this out a little longer? Is there still hope for this to paint a higher high, or am I going to sell into this next wave of complacency at that point? So we'll have to see, guys. It's really getting down there. I mean, I feel like we'll know. We'll know soon. I'm seeing some divergence here with the strength in the market on the hourly. We'll have to see. But this is definitely like, if this is turning here, then this is making a higher low right there on the divergence while the price is falling like this. So we're seeing the divergence in the price here. The strength is growing, but the price is dropping. So check out our shorts. People are starting to open longs again in this zone. So we'll have to see. We may get one more spike, like I said, down to about 6,850 to 7,000. And then after that, at some point, we're going to get a whipsaw. And a whipsaw candle would be a candle that comes following that where it's like this. Okay, and maybe that whipsaw may even have a huge wick at the top and a huge wick at the bottom, and then open like a big doji. And then the next candle will determine the trend and start to trend up. But at some point, I feel like this market is going to flip, and it's going to flip fast. And then once it flips fast, people are going to start to chase it. So I'm not selling into panic. I don't care. I'll sit here and I'll ride this thing out for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks if I have to, until there's a better exit. Bitcoin's not going away. It's not dying. You can't undo what's been done. You can't just undo the technology and say it serves no utility now because China wants to put up a firewall, or the United States wants to block credit card purchases. I mean, we're at the point, we're trading a technology here that is so damn disruptive that it could undo governments. And so we're getting to that point in time now where, the crowd is pushing as far as like how they want to use this utility and how people want to accept this network. And the powers that be in society and the system is pushing back, you know. So, and we need to break through at some point. But I don't think this is the end of cryptocurrency. I think this is a very strong corrective wave down with a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt fueling it. But once the momentum flips and once the sentiment shifts in the market, we're either going to get another bull run that's going to lead us to another all-time high, or we're going to get a nice bull run with a way better exit in price than we have right now. All right, guys, keep stacking. Cheers.